Okay, get that. The shop is shaking. And let's get this stuff started. Oh. It has been too long, and I have a need to paint a lot. I'm going to throw some stuff down here. I'll need this brush as well. Definitely this one. Might be helpful. This here. Okay. Hey James. Hey Barbecue. How's it going, guys? Oh. So I must apologize. I must confess my sins. So I have been making sure to be a good boy and only paint and work on these guys on stream. However, I opened a box that I was going to stream, but I kind of got a little too excited to paint these guys. So I have one set of my Jezzails set up, and I experimented with the colors. I got some new paints in there, and I'm very excited because I really like how this turned out. I was able to do the brown rats a bit better than, well, that's not a good one. Where's yeah, these guys. Basically, I wasn't really good at doing the brown fur, so I made them more black, but I got a better brown complement and it worked really well. So, I'm gonna start going back and getting that fixed up. And I'm good, James. D&D was fun tonight. Had a lot of fun DMing for my group, and I set myself up for greatness and failure at the same time. Because I have one of these, my friend had another one that was built up but not fully painted. I haven't finished painting this one either. But for D&D, I set up so that I had a bunch of these in a canyon and just shot at my party. And now they're going to take on a Skaven horde for D&D, so now I need to build up a lot more of these guys so I have more minis to throw at them on the tabletop. So, I have that. I also have been building up some Sisters of Battle from a box that I bought because I've always wanted to actually build these guys. This is the army that got me interested in 40k, because Nuns with Guns was really badass. I really enjoy their aesthetic. So I have that going with a couple of minis that I got painted up. But I wanted to make sure that I only painted the Sisters of Battle on stream. I could build them off stream, but I had to paint them on stream. I also need to finish getting Samus done, because I never finished the backpack, and I need to get the yellow done for the rest of her, and then finishing the base. But yeah, been having a lot of fun with all that so far. Just now I need to get my first order of business, just getting some things figured out. My D&D group likely won't materialize due to personal frustrations between the prospective DM and someone in the prospective party. Aw, I'm sorry to hear that, man. If my schedule was any better with work, I would offer to join or at least DM for you guys. Because now I'm down to part-time, so I'm 3 days on, 3 days off. I always have Sundays off. But as you know, I go to church in the afternoon on Sundays, so it's a little difficult for me to make that. But if there's another day where you could work out, I'd happily join you guys. I just feel bad because my schedule's wonky as all hell, so I wouldn't be able to do it as well as I'd want to. Or as often. Okay. Then I need to start clipping all this out so I can get my last one built up. Because I already got one of them done, but before I finish painting it, I should get the other one just built up so I can figure out how I want to do this. And also, I bought a pair of clippers, so now it's no more knife cutting to get all of the sprues out. And already it's made getting these built up much easier for me. So that was basically only have time Sunday off. Yeah, that makes sense. It really is hard to get things set up for us, huh? Let's see, and this one is... So 16, so I need 14 and 15. Okay. But yeah, no. D&D is always that thing of, it really is just trying to figure out how to get a schedule organized so that you can actually meet up with people. I like D&D a lot. I have a lot of fun with it, depending on the group, but it definitely is a little difficult to get things organized. Lord knows that I'm lucky with my group because we all go to the same church, and so for us, we just meet up after church and then we play D&D together. So it's very easy to get that organized, which is a blessing in itself because it makes it very easy just to handle everything. But of course, there's only so much. My lack of normal nerd culture is probably seen somewhat bad, but I weep hard all week. Honestly, man, it really depends. But playing D&D through YouTubers, so YouTubers sounds fun. Honestly, it does. It's just about getting things organized to make sure that we actually meet consistently. And that's kind of the kicker in itself, is to meet consistently. Because I'd love to just get a group going for D&D just so that we can play whenever we want. The only issue is scheduling is always a nightmare. But hey, back to your point, Barbecue. Honestly, man, I have not been keeping up with anime in the slightest. So sure, I might surpass in one side of being a nerd, but outweep me by a lot. And I'm the guy who makes anime reviews on his YouTube channel, so that's pretty bad for my side of things. So I definitely need to up my game personally. But yeah, no, for D&D, I have a few ideas I'd like to do with some people because I think it'd be fun. It just depends on. Right now, I'm trying to flesh out some campaigns I want to do. Because one day, big if on this, one day one of my things is if I had a few more YouTube friends that I could figure a schedule out, like maybe once a month, once every 2 weeks or something. Don't worry, Lowell, I'm still way behind seasonal stuff for reviews. No, that's fair. But I'd like to be able to get a group together so that we could do D&D, but some random ideas, because D&D is fun when you shake things up a little bit. I don't like playing the same thing over and over again with D&D. Like, there's only so many times you can run Curse of Strahd before everything just feels the same. One thing that I like to do personally is I have a couple of Pokemon ideas that I want to try out, but I need time to fully flesh them out. So once I have internet in my house, I can stream it from my laptop. I want to do a planning stream on figuring out how to stream different Pokemon style RPGs. One of them I like to do is just have I just want to build a system where I drop like a custom themed campaign. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely that. Because what I want to do for the Pokemon one is two different ones. I want to do one where, with the Pokemon theme, I get a couple of friends, they choose a region they want to be in, I drop them in the region at whatever town they decide to be in, and they just start their Pokemon journey with a partner. How they got that partner, they can discuss that later. I don't really care. But I think it'd be interesting just to have something going on from there. Just so that it's, okay, you can pick any Pokemon for your starter as long as it's not a legendary. No legendaries, no mythics. What's your favorite normal Pokemon? Let's run the gauntlet and see what you can do from starting in that town. How do you go about the region? Where do you go? How do you do it? Thanks, James. I appreciate it. But yeah, that's my first Pokemon RPG idea. The second one is I just want to do a custom mystery dungeon game, because you can easily do Pokemon Mystery Dungeon as, oh, you select any Pokemon that you turn into. So instead of being limited to the starters and a handful of normal Pokemon, we can just change it to, okay, be any Pokemon you want, and then we'll do a Mystery Dungeon campaign based on who you want to be, and we run gauntlets and different locations based off of certain, like, of all the Mystery Dungeon games. So that way we've got background music for any area we explore, but then also we have, okay, you are this Pokemon. We can just look up its stats. We can look up its, what you call it? We can look up its learn set, its move set. We can add or subtract from the move set so that different moves and abilities work. It would just be fun to customize that. So I really want to do that. And my final idea is I want to do a Star Wars D&D campaign. Of course, when I say Star Wars D&D campaign, I will be setting it in the Old Republic. Explorers of Sky, probably top 10 of all time for me. It's absolutely in my top 10 as well. Explorers of Sky is one of the best games I ever bought. It was 2009, so I was 9 years old, and I saved up my allowance and I worked hard at getting a bunch of money together and doing a bunch of other odd jobs so I could save up. And for $32, I bought Pokemon Mystery Dungeon at Target. I got Explorers of Sky at Target. I remember this very clearly. And that was the best purchase I made for my DS. Easily one of my favorite games. I go back, and once I have my computer up and running, I'm going to stream playing Explorers of Sky again, because I absolutely love that game. It's a good game, phenomenal story, great building, like world building. You just love and care about it. And that is something I cannot stress enough, is just how good it is. And so, first playthrough on the channel is absolutely going to be that. However, the first part is getting internet back at the house, so that way I can actually get it. I didn't spend anything on anything except video games when I was a kid. I have like 5 of those stories. Yeah, no, that's relatable. Well, back then too, video games were like, you could actually purchase them. I remember one of the games I bought that today is an absolute dream to do is I bought the Game of the Year edition Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess for the Wii. Mind you, this was Game of the Year edition. This was like 2010, I think, when I bought it. So, of course, that game had been out for a little while. But the fact that I could buy Twilight Princess for the Wii for $20 new at a GameStop, absolutely one of the best purchases I ever made. Which, to me, just also kind of spits in my face because, don't get me wrong, I like Zelda, but I'm not gonna lie, if Nintendo's going the way it's going, I don't know if I'll buy the Twilight Princess remaster, because you know they're gonna somehow get it onto the Switch too, and I'm not sure if I would buy it. Like 3 years old at 2010. Pikmin 2 the same way with a special edition for $20. Okay. That's okay, James. I'm old as far as the internet goes. I've been around for a while. But I am a very old Zoomer. And that sentence hurts me more than I'll ever admit. Then I need to find out what rat body I have left. 12, 11. I use 13 as the gun. Okay. Now where do my clippers go? Because I just had those. Ah. But yeah, I don't know. With Nintendo raising its prices, I should probably be considered a millennial. I complain enough to be one. I mean, fair. It's a weird cutoff between millennial and Zoomer. Because you've got the Zillennials, which is technically where I land. Because technically Zoomers start, depending on your cutoff, Zoomers start either at like 1999 or 95. And then of course, Zillennial is that time frame between millennial and Zoomer, where you kind of got the mix of both. Like, I'm too young to fully have experienced what millennials have done, or everything that they went through, but I remember what they talked about. And it feels weird. Because I meet some younger Zoomers, because I've got friends who are Zoomers that are much younger than me. I talk with them and I'm just like, how do you not remember this? You were alive when this happened. Why do you not remember this? And they're just like, oh, I was 2 years old at this point. It's like, shut up. No, no, I refuse. You could not have been that young. It hurts my soul at times. But you know what they say, time waits for no one. I just wish the passage of time would be a little less cruel on me. But yeah, no. With how Nintendo's raising their prices, I'm not sure if I can stay with like buying Nintendo games any longer. Because I like the Pokemon games, but at the same time, I would never say that any of their games are worth the amount of money that they require to buy nowadays. I think it's probably just because I was spoiled, but I don't know. 97 is supposedly Zoomer year one, according to most things I've seen, but from 98, and remember dial-up VHS, Windows XP, and the awful tone from the phone service. Yeah, no, I remember those quite well. The dial-up sound is made by fax machines to this day, so I still hear that in my at the office when I work. I still hear that consistently. Like VHS, I remember having to rewind my tapes. I remember having to use tape players. Windows XP was, man. I don't know. There's so much that's weird. Being a Zoomer really is just weird. Just because there's really no consistency with how the Zoomer experience anymore. Because some things that the Zoomers did, I'd never noticed or knew about. But then at the other time, there's certain things that the Zoomers went through that I remember. And then some things that I just thought were absolutely cringe. But, you know, gotta have the young and the old at the same time. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. The Zillennial experience also came with Bionicle, and Bionicle was one of the quintessential series of my childhood that everybody bought into. But yeah, the Zoom Fuzzes kind of low-key didn't like Bionicle. No, that's fair. Not everybody liked Bionicle. I was into it just because I kind of was spawn camped because I grew up watching the movies. The movies themselves were really cool. And then getting into the toys, and, well, as you can see, I enjoy building things. So being able to build and customize my own stuff with the Bionicle packs, that was absolutely something that appealed to me and has stuck with me ever since I was young. Okay, that's where that goes. Okay. Though I will say, the thing that I hate the most is, I don't know if anybody's heard of this, but have you guys heard of the phenomenon called the Bionicle Dream? Remember when they made great Nickelodeon movies? Oh gosh. Yeah. Nickelodeon hit different back in the day. I got a Bionicle G2. Okay, that's fair. But jumping back a second, for those who don't know, the Bionicle Dream is something that's happened across the fandom, where it doesn't matter how old you are or when you got into Bionicle. If you were really into Bionicle, for some reason, everybody who got into it has had a dream where they went to a store that they knew of and saw a shelf full of Bionicles of sets that were no longer in circulation, and that were available for purchase there. I don't know why, but I've had that dream as well. And it creeps me out that that's just something that happened to everybody who was really into it as a kid. So I'm really curious what is causing the Bionicle Dream, because there's no way that what feels like almost an entire generation has been psyoped into having the same dream. That just feels so weird. Remember having dreams like that, but for other things like pizza? Oh, fair, fair. But yeah, no. The bionicle dream is one of those things that the more I learned about it, the weirder it felt. But I don't know how to describe why it felt weird, or just why it seemed wrong to me. But I don't know. I remember when I studied psychology that a lot of psychology is just essentially just turned into everybody going, honestly, I'm not entirely sure, but we'll call it this for now until somebody proves us wrong or different. And it's just that. Had that, but with Bakugan. Gosh, I remember Bakugan. I still have my Robotallion somewhere. Like, I have an original, like, first gen Robotallion at 420 Gs. And it's Darkest, my favorite type. But I have no idea where I put them, because I know I have them around here somewhere. I need to bring them out so I can put them on my desk for stream. Just that way I can talk about how, yes, I was a part of it. I also remember back in the day with Bakugan, one thing that happened at school was when we figured out how to do the talking Bakugan trick. Like, basically, we would just take a gate card, put it underneath the shoulder of our shirt, and just put our Bakugan on top of our shirt, so it looked like we had a talking Bakugan with us at all time. I remember thinking that was the coolest thing when we figured out how to do that with the gate cards. Because then it's like, oh, we're just like the cartoon. Technically anime, but shh. Let's not complicate things. It's like, oh, it's just like the cartoon. Granted, I'm pretty sure my school was like one of the few places where we had enough people that actually played Bakugan as a game and not just collected it. Granted, the Wii game is probably the best Bakugan game I've played so far. I want to go back and play them, because my friend had the Wii game. We tried it out when we were teenagers, years after Bakugan had died out, and we're like, this is actually kind of fun. Like, of course, the game was very bare bones on the Wii. There's like a limited selection, and it basically came down to, hey, you have this one guy who is extremely powerful. Power him up and beat the game with him. And that was kind of all you had to do to actually beat it. But the actual combat system was fun. I enjoyed it a lot. So if I can figure out how to get a decent emulator running for Wii games, I'm probably going to do the Bakugan game on stream sometime. Because I think that would just be really fun. Okay. I went to public school after 06, so I never had any Bakugan friends. Oh, gotcha. I was in public school until I did horribly during my freshman year at high school. In my defense, I did horribly the second half of my freshman year. The reason why? My best friend that I'd known since I was 5 years old moved in with me. Like, his family was going through a rough spot. My mom had extra space in the house that she had. And so my friend's family moved in with us. So, of course, when you have your best friend living with you, are you doing math homework, or are you going outside to the park nearby and just hanging out with other people? I'll let you guys decide what an impulsive teenager would do, because I absolutely did not do work on my studies as I should have. So because of that, my mother got really mad, because she would always say I'm a smart kid. I don't believe it. I don't think I'm that smart of a person, but she believes I'm smart. And because she believes, that means I had expectations to live up to. And so I ended up having to explain to her that, yeah, no, my grades went bad because I got distracted because you let my best friend move in with us. I'm not, like, I know you're doing it to help your friend too because she was friends with his mom. But I was like, there's nothing you can expect different from me. I've always been a spacey kid. And if I didn't care, I wasn't going to do it. My friend was living with me, so I'm not exactly going to do well in school. if I'm living with my best friend. That just wasn't happening. I was also, when I was younger, I was also very much a go with the flow kind of guy. So I didn't care about the future. I tried to live fast and die young. And I'm still alive, so that didn't work out. I think there may be discrepancies between different types of smart. You seem pretty smart to know better. I mean, I don't know. When people say smart, I really don't understand like the metric people go off of half the time. Because I can see what they mean. I see like I can understand being smart, but I don't. I find it hard to call myself smart because all I do for the most part is I just think about things way more than I need to. I have questions, I think about it, and then of course that leads me to ask other questions about things. So I really don't think that I personally don't think that I'm smart. I've always just phrased it as I just think a lot on things. And so it leads me to just ask questions. So I don't know. Maybe that is what smart people do. I couldn't say. That's just kind of how I've always been, is I just spend too much time in my own head thinking about things. So it leads me to be not very good at communicating with people, but it does lead me to asking questions that lead to me getting answers to things I never thought I would get answers to. But I don't know. As far as book smarts go, I've never been the best with that stuff. I'm a hands-on learner. I learn by doing. When it comes to memorize this so that you can regurgitate facts, I really wasn't good at that except in history class. History class, I was decent at it, and I found history interesting. But I don't know. I might also be burned out because of the way my school handled my math classes. Because when I was younger, I was good at science, but I was bad at math. And so I applied to be in the advanced science program when I was going into high school. So I'd skip like freshman science, which was, oh, here's like an amalgamation of all the science classes rolled into one as a general overview. But I tried to do advanced science, but then go into Algebra 1. And then as that happened, what later happened for me was eventually, when I went to high school, I got accepted into the program, but they swapped it on me. So I skipped Algebra 1 and went straight to geometry and then to Algebra 2. But I never skipped freshman science. Instead, I went to freshman science and then I did biology in sophomore year. Because the high school I was going to, they didn't have enough seats for all of the sophomores to take biology, but they all took freshman science. So that definitely screwed me over a little bit because I didn't get the basics for math in the slightest. And skipping Algebra 1, going to geometry and then Algebra 2, that was not easy for me, and I didn't do well. But yeah, that was kind of the thing I went through. Also, sorry, what happened, James? I saw your message for a second, but I wasn't able to fully read that, sorry. You can imagine? Fair enough. That's what I would think, but you know what? In my school's infinite wisdom, that's just what they threw me in. And so I just haven't done well at math ever since. It's not that I think math is bad or disinteresting. It's just that I never got the fundamentals. So I've always just kind of been at math ever since then. But it is what it is. Thankfully, that's all in the past, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. Because now I'm an adult without a degree and just trying to figure shit out from here. Not exactly ideal, but it's what I gotta work with, so work with it I will. I mean, if you say so, James. I I don't have any one way to say yes or no to that. Because I have no idea. Chat moderation is not my specialty with streaming, so I'll take your word on it. I got a D in the engineering calculus the first time around. Didn't love math overall. I'm more of an applied economics type of guy. Oh, that's fair. It's also just kind of hard. Because quite honestly, a lot of math makes sense in a vacuum, but when you're outside of that vacuum, it really starts to fall apart. Like, the one thing I never understood, no matter how much tutoring I got, was using a equation to make a graph. I could not figure that out. Trigonometry, I could do that just fine, but I could not for the life of me use a equation to plot a graph and for a line on anything. That just never sunk in and never made sense, and I could never truly figure that out. I had a friend spend an entire afternoon, like, I think 3 hours explaining the fundamentals to me. By the next day, after I learned it and kind of figured it out, it just vanished from my mind. And I, to this day, don't know why it just never stayed or clicked in my brain. Because she was a good teacher. She unironically was. By the end of the lessons, I was understanding the equations and I could actually, like, plot everything. But for some reason, after she left, I could not handle it. I couldn't do it anymore. So it's definitely something that bothers me because, you know, I apparently learned it once. It just never stuck long enough for me to actually make it work. So definitely annoying. I can speak English like normal. I can't read English. I can write English on paper, but not on a phone. Ah, okay. It's like a whole new language that you have to eventually get used to. Descartes was a genius and took me years to be able to even gaze upon that genius. Oh, that's fair. But yeah, it's just something that for some reason it never stuck with me. But I respect people who can not only stick with it, but who figure it out and roll with it because, hey, you made it work. I couldn't make it work, so I respect it a lot. But hey, we can't be good at everything, right? Gotta be humble somewhere. So I'll just be humble with math and say, yep, people are smart. Just doesn't make sense for me. Okay. Then, okay. So I got this guy for the most part done. I just need to finish painting everything out. Like, I need to paint the robes. I need to get the rest of the red off him and make it into the brown and tan for the rat. Then I need to get this one primed up. But that is all the Warplock Jezzails from that box. So I am excited to have that done. Now I just need to get some paintbrushes so I can actually get that done. Da-da. Yeah. I don't know. When it comes to the world of academics, the best thing I can do is languages and English. That was always my strength, along with history, but let's be real. I'm not the smartest, but I am wise and mature for my young. I mean, I hope so. Wisdom comes with experience, and as long as you get enough experience, you can figure out just about anything. Also, it's been a while, but I haven't actually been able to ask, is the lighting okay? I got a new lamp to use for stream, but I'm not entirely sure how well it works. For me, I've enjoyed it because I don't have to constantly readjust it. But I know I've definitely been enjoying the lamp. I should pray. Think it looks pretty good? Okay. That is reassuring to hear, because I've been nervous. Then move those guys off to the side for a bit. Lights are good? Okay. I bought a new lamp because I had a little bit of extra cash, and I wanted to see if a new lamp would help, because once I get this primer on the Mini, I'll show you guys in a second. But I was going off of a USB-C light that it was this dinky little thing on a changeable little wire here. So it always moved around, and it wasn't the biggest or that bright. So this is my first stream with it, and so far I've liked it. It's definitely helped, but I just wasn't sure. And I know, you know, if you guys are here, I assume you watch other live streamers, so I figured you guys would probably have a decent opinion on if the lights were good or bad, that you guys would let me know. At least I would hope so. Either that or y'all can just gaslight me, like my players gaslit one of their party members today, because they didn't want to retreat from a fight. And now we have gaslit a vampire hunter into believing the stories of Count Squeakula is a real thing. I mean, I really don't know. Best I guess VTubing. I mean, fair. But still. Even when VTubing, there's at least a level of, hey, there's things that we do, or things that we gotta figure out. So that's content creation isn't exact. Sure, content creation isn't all encompassing, but there are things that definitely cross over, or that we always look at. But yeah, during D&D today, the party were fighting a bunch of Skaven, and because one member of the party, in general, she is quick to retreat from combat as a player. In every campaign I've been in, my standards is real low for live stream. Oh, fair enough. But this player, she specifically is very quick to flee and retreat if she can. There was one campaign that I'm playing in with her that she decided she was going to retreat and said, hey, everybody, let's run away. However, she didn't factor in that the rest of our characters are bloodthirsty, and hers wasn't. So she ran and left me to get pummeled by a bunch of slimes. And of course, my character is a bard, so... And I'm not College of Valor with that one, I'm College of Lore. College of Lore bard, not a tank. So I got my ass handed to me by a bunch of slimes. I think we were like level 3 or 4 at that point. And so she was thinking at retreating because the party were getting shot at. Basically, a couple of these gun emplacements were set up at the edge of a canyon. It's a Wild West theme, so guns do exist. And they were just shooting at the party as they were running into the canyon. It was a perfect kill box. But to convince her to stay and finish the fight, they said that, oh, wait, the Skaven are being led by a vampire. And so, on the fly, I made the joke, and so the childhood stories that you thought were all just a fabrication came true. And you believed that Count Squeakula was here, leading his undead horde. Of course, now we're all dying laughing because she rolled an insight check, got like a 3, and the Warlock got like an insight check, I think, of like 4. I think it was like 16. So of course she fell for hook, line, and sinker, and her character's out for blood trying to kill the vampire because she made a discount Belmont character. And we're just laughing the entire time that the party's now gaslighting her to going, no, 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 it's absolutely vampires. Just look at this. Squeakula is a fantastic name. I just made it up on the fly by accident because I didn't know what to say when my party was gaslighting her. But I'm like, you know what? Bunnicula's a thing that exists. And because of the Skaven meme of calling everybody a squeaka, I'm just like, okay, you know what? I'm rolling with the memes. This is supposed to be some sort of like kids folktale about like a vampire that doesn't exist. It's a vampire and a Skaven. Count Squeakula. I was also kind of hungry, so I was thinking of the Count Chocula cereal because I hadn't had that for a while. And so now I need to come up with, I think just because it'd be funnier, I want to make Count Squeakula an actual boss for my party to fight. Like, sure, it was a meme and a joke that brought him into existence, but I'm going to carry that all the way because that was too funny to just go, oh yeah, that's a one-off thing. Turns out he's not real. I want him to be real just so that way my players will play D&D, and when they get there, like, oh, it's real? What do you mean? Just go, oh no, it's real. For that one party member to then go, it's real? What do you mean it's real? I thought it was real. Didn't you guys know about it? No, we made it up. It would be a funny payoff, and so I really want to work with it. I like that idea. What about Viscount Quackula? I could probably do that. I'd probably just do, if I was going to do Count Quackula, I'd probably make a Kenku, and then, like, a Kenku vampire. And I would just only make him, I would get pre-recorded Donald Duck voice lines from, like, Kingdom Hearts for his attack animations, just to send an attacking Donald Duck squealing at my party. But there are ways to make it work. Because originally in the setting, I had the idea of, okay, the only vampire here is going to be like the final boss that they have to kill. Just so that way it's, okay, we worked together, we saved the town, we did a bunch of these good deeds, and now we've killed the vampire, the town is safe. That was kind of like the end goal idea. But my party will do anything else at the drop of a hat if they hear vampire is the issue that they have to deal with. And so because of that, I'm going to just work with, okay, I'll need some more smaller lesser vampires in the setting, just so I can justify letting my players run wild and get things done. Just because I can't gaslight my players forever. Real question for you. What's your favorite animal? My favorite animal is an octopus. It is an octopus. Specifically, my favorite is the giant Pacific octopus because that's the one I grew up seeing the most, especially at the aquarium that was nearby my house, and I absolutely loved it. I like octopus. I think they're fun. My favorite thing about them is if you read any scientific study, they just sound more and more unhinged. I don't like eating those, but I love looking at those guys. Yeah, octopus is a weird taste. I like octopus, but the octopus I enjoyed eating when I did was I was living in Mexico at the time. And Squeakles is the big bad guy of the game. Oh no, the Squeakles are coming. I can throw Alvin and the Chipmunks in as a boy band just to screw with my party. But yeah, the only time they can fit approximately anywhere and seem like cool little water aliens. Oh yeah, my favorite thing is a study came out, I think in 2016, where scientists discovered that if an octopus feels super stressed or angry, it will just straight up ball up its tentacle and punch random fish around it. They will just punch the fish around them, just out of anger and stress to relieve stress. That is probably one of my favorite things. Is that, yeah, that's relatable. Get mad, any chance to swing is a good chance to swing, and they just start swinging. But yeah, let's see that, yeah. There was a study that got thrown in a lot of memes for a while. But yeah, one way that I enjoyed octopus was basically, when I was in Mexico, there were octopus in a dish, like a risotto dish, that the tentacles were like as long as my like thumb end and were about as thin as like this paintbrush handle. So about yay long, that thin, and they were heavily cooked down in a wine sauce and then added into a rice dish with a few other vegetables and seasonings. It was really good, and I really liked how that worked. But larger octopus I don't like as much just because they don't cook it down enough that it always comes out tasting too rubbery for me. When they cook it down so that you can chew through it like a good steak, that's kind of like the apex of where octopus tastes the best, but also has the best texture. That's the word I'm looking for. It has the best texture that way. And so that'd be the one time that I would eat octopus and think, yeah, this is good. But I'm also, I just think the ways people eat octopus is also just weird. Because, for example, if you kill an animal and then cook it, I have no problem with that. I believe that's the correct way to do it, is kill them, make it as painless as possible, make it quick, make it efficient, don't let them suffer. The one that I dislike is when in Asia, I think it's in like Korea, they just grab an octopus from the ocean, cut off its tentacles while it's still alive, and just eat the tentacles in front of it. Where I'm like, okay, hold on. What the hell is that? Is that big ballish head part basically a nose that isn't for smelling? Gosh. I'm not entirely sure. I know that's it's where all of its organs are. I just don't remember. The last time I really looked into octopus anatomy was when I was looking over doing research for my centaur video, which I still haven't finished and need to. Where basically they have 3 hearts, one over each gill, and then a regular heart in the middle of their actual head that distributes it. But then they have 2 hearts that primarily and only purpose is to pump blood into the gills so that it consistently can breathe. Outside of that, I don't remember how the organs go in an octopus. It's been a while since I looked into it, and I do not remember off the top of my head. I've been spending too much time with horses, both with the Uma Musume horse racing game and also researching centaurs. Gosh. Too much horse in my head. I've been horsing around too much. And it's probably showing quite a bit because my mind is fried as is. Oh, okay. Now, where is that paint color? There it is. Okay, calm your horses. Honestly, with how salty that horse racing game makes me, trust me, my horses are not calm. I wish they were, because it would be better for me. My horses are not calm, though. Because gosh dang it. I could put so much time and effort into making sure I raise them. Okay, maybe a weird one. What is your opinion on the tentacle anime trope? Honestly, it depends for me. Because on the one hand, I like the idea, but I like the actual tentacles. I don't like the weird... Like, I don't like vines, and I don't like the... I like tentacles with suckers. Because I like the more natural approach to all of it. I just like that better than what most of anime does. They do too much of, oh, my tentacles can be anything. They can grow, they can transform, they can have mouths, they can have tongues. I don't like how away from it goes. They turn it more into like alien, like homunculus limbs, rather than just, oh yeah, it's a tentacle. I don't know. I am somebody who believes in simplicity over everything else. And so I like the simple thing of, yeah, it's a tentacle. It's nothing else. when they go too when they go too far or just change it too much, I'm like, okay, I understand. They're just supposed to be grippy, really. Yeah, yeah. Because I get the idea behind it. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm just saying, simplicity isn't bad. There's such a thing as being too much. And so that's kind of where I, for the most part, fall on it. It's nothing bad, but it's disinteresting to me when they put too much into how versatile the tentacles are. But I'm also a very simple person in general, so yeah. Yep. There my boy be. But yeah. Got the tentacle boys. I like the blue ones that look really poisonous. Oh, are you talking about the blue ring or like full color blue? Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, the blue ring octopus is adorable. I love it. It's so small and it's one of the deadliest things in Australia, despite being incredibly small. I love them to death. I find the blue ring octopus to just be fun because he's tiny and he's deadly. The only issue is you just don't feel it if it gets you with its venom until you just drown. It's not the most friendly of octopus, but it is very much adorable and I love its coloration. For Australia described as a late game zone. Australia is just a PvP server that the devs forgot to turn off modding for. Like, if I can say about Australia, Australia to me as an American just seems like it's a PvP zone that got a bunch of fan community mods thrown in from a Florida man, and nobody took away the Florida man's admin privilege. Everything about Australia is cool, but also everything about Australia is just so deadly. It's like, my respects to the people who live there. I live in Australia, so I know that. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh shoot, did I just... I think I did. I think I just snapped part of his antenna off. That is really dinky. I don't know. But yeah, no. There's a YouTuber I've been watching his shorts for called More Pars. And all he does is just talk about, hey, here's some animals and how deadly they are and how quickly they can kill you. And it's funny just because he always talks about, a fucking course it's in Australia, mate. You can just hear him slowly die on the inside as more and more stuff comes out as he talks more and more about deadly animals. And it's like, oh, where could this be? Is it here? Is it here? No, it's Australia. Because of course it is. So, I am very much of the mind that I like Australia. I think it's cool. Never visiting there, never living there. I respect the people who can tough it out, but just not a place I think I would do well in. I'm not the best with hot climates. I prefer cold and rainy all the time. And then you just have everything going on with Oh yeah, this animal will kill you in 5 seconds if you're not careful. It's my home and I love it, but it will kill you. Yeah, yeah. And I can respect it. Yeah. I did enough flirting with death a while back, so I feel like I can take it a little bit easier and be a tad bit more careful now. Okay, this Balthazar gold is easily the best color I ever found for the Skaven. Because this really just, I think, sells the look better for the fact that this is dinky tech that is not well kept. I feel like the silver was... I like the dirty look of how uneven the silver was over the black primer. But on a side-by-side, I really like how the gold, the dirty gold looks more, that it looks like it's the metal itself is being corroded by the toxins that are carried in this. Man, this was this color was a surprisingly good investment, and at the perfect time because it's right when I was getting Skaven. So, I would have never known, and yet here I am, really liking it. I should probably give some more paints a try. How's Poggers been, by the way? Honestly, I do like their drinks. I mean, I've got one in the background here as a subtle reference to it. So far, all I've tried from them is... I've only tried 3 flavors. Yep, I try to keep it in the background on purpose, because I am technically sponsored by them. I've got my own discount code. I'm just bad at plugging it, honestly. But I like it. It's... If I may be honest, and this might... I mean, I don't know if Poggers even watches my stuff, so... If there's a Poggers representative, forgive me, I will be brutally honest here about your product, because I want to be honest to my friends and the people in my audience. It's not... It's good, but it could definitely be better. The main issue I have is... So, let me find... Okay. So, I'll bring this side to side. So, I started with G Fuel because of Russian Badger, so... I have some Guacamole Gamer Fart. So, these cans are the same size, right? They're essentially the same size. The problem is, this is 30 servings, this is 100 servings. And this is $10 more. My whole thing is, I like Poggers. I think their flavors are good. They taste good. They taste fine. But for a $10 difference, you're getting the same container for a larger serving size that's less efficient. I think the flavors are good. Rocket Pop was good. The green apple was all right. And watermelon is my favorite so far from Poggers. But as much as I do like their flavors, it's not as much bang for your buck as Gamer Subs. Outside of that, someday I aspire to be sponsored by G-Subs. I really don't like a couple of their flavors. Yeah, no, that's fair. One of my favorite flavors from them is Grandma's Ashes. I got that recently and I've been enjoying it a lot, which is kind of morbid because I work in an assisted living facility with old people, but hey, they like the flavor too. They think it's funny. But yeah. My whole thing is, I do like Poggers. I think they're good. But they're... Grandpa's Ashes is my favorite. Yeah. It's a great name. It's a good flavor. I really like it a lot. And I think Poggers is a really good company right now. But I think what holds Poggers back the most for me personally, I also love any of the raspberry ones. Oh, that's fair. The main thing that holds Poggers back is they just don't have that big of a selection, like a drink selection. And a lot of their stuff is super sweet. Like, I do have a sweet tooth, and that's why I drink this stuff, is to help me rein in my sweet tooth so I don't eat as much candy and sugar. But Poggers really has a lot of flavors that are just, they feel overly sweet. Like, watermelon, I think, is really good, but it tastes like I'm eating Sour Patch watermelons. Like, I'm drinking Sour Patch watermelons that aren't sour. It's just the sweet part. That's not bad, but yeah, it's aggressively sweet, and so that's kind of why I'm like, if they could tone it down a little in the sweet factor, I think they would have a much more competitive edge. It's kind of why I explained this in my Centaur video, and in a few more videos, I'm going to explain, like, when I shill for Poggers, I'm going to explain my ideas for a drink flavor. I want to get something that's a bit toned down, that's not aggressively sweet, because I think that would really add to their repertoire, but also be good for them. Because everything is super sweet, and yes, a lot of people use Poggers and whatchamacallit, Gamer Subs to replace drinking soda. That's why I did it, and it's helped me with my weight loss journey. But there is such a thing as too sweet for some people. And I fear that's kind of where Poggers is right now, is all of their flavors that I've tried so far are more sweet than anything else. The flavors are good, but it is really sweet. And so that's kind of like my one criticism of the company so far, is they don't have a lot of mellow flavors. It's very sweet on everything. And for some people, that's what they want, that's what they need. Perfect. I'm glad that you guys are able to get that. But it's definitely, that would definitely be something that I would say they need to work on, is adding less sweet flavors to their actual drink catalog. My suggestion for one, which again, I'm not going to, unless if I start really selling, unless if I grow as a content creator and really start getting people to use my code, which code Quail for 10% off your order at poggers.com. If I can get it, I would want to make a drink called Feisty Latina, where it would be a cherry limeade, but it would be, I would want it to be like a chili limeade, so that it's got a little bit of spice, but it's more of the sour and tart limeade. And of course, I would have the Poggers' potential based on what I've seen. It's like number 5 and 6. Yeah, it is. It's definitely not the best. My idea for the marketing ad for it would be, hold on, I need to have, basically you would start with the black screen and just have one woman, forgive me, this is the only woman model I have that's human on my desk. You'd have one woman, it'd just be a small Latino woman just screaming at the camera. Fade out, you have then multiple, until it all goes into like a giant like collage of different screens of many Spanish women just yelling in Spanish at the screen, and then just fade to black. Do you know this feeling? Well, now you can drink it. Introducing Feisty Latina. I think it would be a good drink, and it's one I really want to push. But again, I just have to grow as a content creator, and I need to keep shilling for people to use my code, so that I can get enough sway in the company to then introduce that drink. Because if I can introduce that drink, I will be so excited, but it would just be fun. But I also think it would just add a lot of variety to Poggers' drink lineup. And if I can't do Feisty Latina, because maybe getting a little bit of spice in the limeade, so like a chili limeade, with, I like limeade, I like having a little bit of spice to go with it. Feisty Latina would make me unironically get a couple of Poggers. You know what? Thank you, Barbecue. I appreciate it. It feels vindicating to people see the vision of what I have. But yeah, that is a flavor that I would absolutely want to add. If I could not get Feisty Latina for whatever reason, let's say XYZ, can't do it. I need Shadow Plushie to go with. Yeah, yeah, I can see that. I would say, let's say in a cruel world, Feisty Latina is not for me to take as a drink flavor name. My second one would be Clown Girl Sweat. My whole idea would just be making it off. I would either do. I would kind of want to do something like a salted caramel flavor that maybe you add with milk instead of water. I don't know. But a salted caramel flavor just called Clown Girl Sweat. So you have Clown Girl looking at the screen, arm raised up with a cup to the armpit, water goes into it, and just have the clown say, "Is this what you wanted?" Fade to black, white letters on the screen. Absolutely. Introducing Clown Girl Sweat. That's also a pretty fantastic idea. Thank you. Thank you. The one thing I am good at, and the thing that makes me want to go back to school, is to get a marketing degree, because my best thing with businesses is I'm the idea guy. Every time I've worked with people or in a group project, I'm good at coming up with ideas on how to sell things, but I'm always the most consistent with bringing out the product. So that's kind of where I hate the fact that it makes sense. Yep. But you see the vision. I may be an idiot, but I do have vision. There is a market. And for the people who know and watch my content, they know me as the degenerate quail. They know I'll do it. I want blueberry acai, but primarily because I miss that flavor. Honestly, that's fair. I think blueberry acai would be very interesting. I do like that flavor in a lot. Not to mention, that flavor is not overly sweet. So you could easily do that and have it not be good. Bullberry, good sir. Oh, yeah, you did spell it that way, didn't you? Bullberry acai. Honestly, good name, good brand. I see the vision and I like it. I can see that being pretty good. I definitely buy it. But that's also because I'm a little biased, because I think blueberry acai as a flavor in general for a lot of drinks is just refreshing. It's not overly sweet whenever I've had it before, but it's nice, it's calm, it's refreshing, and it has a light taste to it. That's not overpowering, but it definitely tastes great. So, bullberry acai, I approve. I hope you'll be able to get a good company with that who can help you make that flavor, because I will absolutely shill out and buy it. Even if it's for a rival company, I will tell people to go buy it, because I am certain that would be a phenomenal flavor to drink. Ooh. Somehow you doubt it? I mean, here's the thing, man. We're just, as far as content creation goes, we are small, and you're larger than I am. At the very least, I would say, as long as we keep at it, the sky's the limit. It's just how dedicated are we to the follow through on coming up and making these ideas become reality. Because as far as I'm aware, most of the sales that I've gotten with my discount code at this point in time for Poggers has just been me. I think one person has actually used my code with it not being me. So, trust me, I'm not doing too well on the I'll grind my way to a K. Yeah, there you go. The thing is, it's just going to take a while to grind up and get where we need to be for it to work. I'm not expecting any of my goals for anything I want to do to come true within the next like 2 years. most of my goals for content creation I have are set for like the next 5 years to get done. Like, in a few years, I want to have enough stuff figured out that I can start making videos where I play Warhammer on the tabletop with my friends. The way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to build multiple armies that I can use and have fun with that. So, I already have a Space Marine army that I'm building, and I've got a Sisters of Battle army. I want to build a Chaos Marine army. I want to get some Chaos Knights and some Loyalist Knights. I want to build up all my stuff so that one day I can actually play the game on the tabletop with my armies and that I can work on it. Because this is what I'm starting with right now. Definitely not the best, but it is tabletop ready and I can make it work. But that's one of the goals that I have, is I just want to make that happen one day. How realistic it is, I got no idea. But I'm going to fight for it until I actually make it. Because for the most part, almost every time I stream, I get new subscribers. And almost every time I actually go live, I get more hours on my watch time. It might take me 3 years before I get monetized at the 500 subscriber mark. But I believe that one day I can make it happen. It's just going to take probably longer because with my work schedule right now, I'm very inconsistent with streaming. Not because I want to be, but because 3 days on, 3 days off, there's only so much I can do. And there's only so much content I can make. So I want to pace myself to make sure I do to do it right, but I want to do what I can to get it there. So, I don't know. At the end of the day, it's nothing but a grind. We just got to get through it all. But as long as you have a goal that you can work towards, I think that just makes content creation more fun as a hobby. Because the reason I do it is so I can document the process I have in making and building models. So that if in the future I ever make models or want to improve my formula or whatever, I can just go back to my streams and I have documented what I did to get everything that I did. Just got my very first payout on YouTube, and I'm using my Elgato capture card as a write-off so I don't owe any taxes on that precious $100. Yeah, no, I feel you there. When tax season comes around next year, because I used all of these in videos, I'm just doing write-offs for most of my models. I'm saving all of my receipts so that way I can just say, hey, I used it for content. They appeared in content, and this is what I'm doing with it. I don't know if it's ever going to... I'm going to have to look more into the tax code to make sure I get it right so I can do it. But it's something I want to do. And it's something I'm going to try for at least. Hell yeah, gamer. I mean, yeah. From what I understand, that's how the tax code works. That's what a lot of YouTubers say and what they do. So if that's the case, then yeah. I'm going to build my Warhammer armies. And as I stream myself doing it, I will write them off as tax write-offs, which would be very helpful. Because long-term goal with YouTube is I want to set up my own company, because I would like to do... I don't know if this applies unless you make money on the business involved, but since you're just a single filer, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either. Because what I want to do is I want to set up a company. I want to set up an art media company that, using my YouTube money, I will fund to make video games. The first video game I want to make is a proof of concept game, but I want to make, if I can get the license for it, I want to make a Fire Emblem and style game for a Redwall game. Because Redwall is one of my favorite book series of all times, and doing a Fire Emblem style game based off of a Redwall, I think would be the perfect formula, and I think it would work really well. It would just be a couple of circus performers going through Mossflower Wood to make it to Redwall, but they encounter a few people and they have to fight through an entire horde of rats and vermin to get there, as is in Redwall. But you make choices depending on who you take into battle, and because of permadeath, you deal with, oh yeah, some people are going to die, how do you cope with their loss? It would be a very interesting thing to do, especially because Redwall as a series does not shy away from killing off characters for character development. And so I think a Fire Emblem style game, but with Redwall as the setting, could be really good. That's one I want to do. And then, if there is any chance, sadly, it seems like VR has kind of become a novelty gaming system rather than a consistent one. I cope by hitting reset to go to previous save. Yeah, no, I do the same. I absolutely do the same. But I wanted to make a VR Pokemon Stadium style game where, okay, I don't have much of a diagram and I don't have anything to draw with, but picture this. I'm gonna move some stuff around. Basically, the idea is that in the center you would have the actual field, and each trainer would be raised up on a platform. On that platform, this is the trainer, so it would be you. In front of you, you would have a console showing this is the Pokemon out front. These are your Pokeballs in front of you, so you can manually grab the Pokeball, throw it out to swap out the Pokemon that's on the field, and then you can choose from the moves in front of you what move to use in battle. If you turn to your left, you would see the dynamic camera angle, but if you look in front of you, you then get to see the entire field in front of you as you make those choices and decisions. So that way it's a live game, but it feels like you're in the actual arena giving out the commands to your Pokemon. But if you want the dynamic camera angles, you can just look to your side and there they are from some Rotom drones that you can control. I think it'd be really cool. And then all you have to do to monetize it is simply go, hey, we have cosmetics that you can either win battles in game and win mini games in the game to save up currency, or you can just buy them outright. And we hold tournaments to give out shiny Pokemon. So then if it's your favorite shiny Pokemon, you can then enter a tournament a few times, try to win for a shiny variant of a Pokemon that you like. I think it'd be really cool. And with character customization, basically you just need to base it in VR chat, and you'd be able to get Pokemon Stadium VR up and running fairly easily. The problem is VR seems to have turned more into a fad thanks to 2020, because I really don't see much in terms of like VR development anymore, which makes me sad because I really liked VR games. Blade and Sorcery is still one of my favorite. It's a good thing that I like weird Pokemon. Oh yeah. The Lickitung Sushi game was probably one of the better ones on the original, for the original Stadium. That was a good one. I remember my friends and I really liked the Scyther and Scizor chopping game from the second Stadium game. That was the one that we enjoyed the most. But yeah, that was kind of my idea for like a proof of concept, because Pokemon Stadium in VR, I think everybody would get down to that. It's just more of how do you get it to... You never got to play Stadium 2? Ooh, I highly recommend... So, I was doing it for background footage for my games, but you can find the emulator for the 64 for Stadium 2 pretty easily. I highly recommend doing a stream of that, because the Elite Four in Stadium and Stadium 2 are brutal as hell. I love them so much, but they are difficult. But I highly suggest checking it out, just because it's really fun. And it's also, with the jank mechanics, it's just so much different to play. Especially because in Stadium and Stadium 2, unless if you had the Game Boy to import your own Pokemon into Stadium, you had the rental Pokemon. And the rental Pokemon have awful moves the higher level they are. Gonna have to do that. Hopefully they don't suck too bad. Honestly, I find when I did Pokemon Stadium, I beat the Elite Four, and I recorded almost all of it, and then lost the recordings. But when I did it, I had a new team for every gym leader. And then I had to do 3 different teams and I got lucky with RNG to beat the Elite Four. Because in Stadium 1, Lorelei is a run killer. She is such a stonewall to get through if you have to do the Elite Four. And you get to choose one team to beat the entire Elite Four in Stadium. And again, you can't change moves. You just get what you get, and you gotta hope you can and pray. Starmie was the ace for my team through the Elite Four. I need to do Stadium 2, but I'm waiting until I can stream again so I can do that. Because I want to do Stadium 2 full playthrough, full career playthrough, and I want to see how the Pokemon stack up. I feel like Scizor is not going to be that good, but I want to try as a Waller because he does get access to Sword Dance and Slash. So I think that would be really good. But Starmie was really good in Stadium 1 just because it had Thunderbolt instead of Thunder. And Thunderbolt is a really good electric coverage move for Gen 1. But yeah, highly recommend it. Absolutely love it. It's difficult, but it's fun in that difficulty. I remember playing Pokemon Battle Revolution for the Wii. Had to make an uber legendary team for the final sets in Stargazer Coliseum. I never got to play Battle Revolution. That's why I'm trying to look for a good Wii emulator. Because I played Stadium 2, but I never got to play Battle Revolution. I think it's similar without the minigames. Yeah, I've heard that Battle Revolution was like the evolution of Pokemon Stadium, just without the party games. But I want to try it, because that seems so cool to me. And every time I've seen any animations from Battle Revolution, it looks so good and so well done. But again, that is for future stuff, because I gotta work on the here and now. But yeah, I also just wish that we would get another Pokemon Coliseum game. Because I like Pokemon Coliseum because I like double battles. I like games that focus on the double battle aspect of Pokemon. Just because double battles are such a cool mechanic. And if I could just have the option to build a weather team to go through, I'd really like it. The animation with the announcer was absolutely fire for Gen 4. Oh yeah. I think Battle Revolution and Stadium had phenomenal announcers. I don't know who the voice actors are, but I really liked it. A lot of double battles in it too. Yeah, that's another reason why I want to try it. Because double battles are one of my favorite mechanics. I love it. I just wish there was more to it. Because I don't like competitive Pokemon, because I don't want to spend the time to grind my Pokemon into it. But I love building teams. Like, I'll do it for a Pokemon Showdown all the time. My friends and I did a Pokemon Showdown tournament one day. And so we all built teams and then did a tournament to fight each other. It was really fun because it showed just how crazy some strategies were. Trying to find... Oh, there it is. So, done a lot of Skaven. Done a lot of Skaven so far, but I want to get to my Sisters of Battle. Because... Just backtracking for a second. I was looking at doing some... I wanted to do a homebrew Sisters of Battle regiment. Because apparently... there are more than just the original orders. They have sub-factions that split off. So I am doing a custom color because I want them to go and mix with my Dark Kraken army. Because I want to see if I can do a purple and white contrast for him. Roger Parsons, credited as Kevin Gates, was the announcer, I think. Okay. I have to look into it because I don't know off the top of my head. But Pokemon Stadium alone, he was such an icon with his actual voice lines. One of my favorite voice lines from Pokemon Stadium whenever is if your opponent sends out a Pokemon and you knock it out first turn, he immediately has the most energy I've ever heard of him just going, "No way, taken down, the word go." That's one of my favorite voice lines because it really makes you feel powerful. And it's like, oh yeah, that's bad luck on my opponent, but also, holy crap, that worked really well for me. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try 2 variations on this color scheme because I want to see how it works. I'm gonna do purple on the outside, white on the inside, and then I'm gonna do white on the outside, purple on the inside to see how those contrast. Just because I'm really curious to see what looks better for my sister's paint scheme. So we're going to experiment just a tad. But yeah, one thing I want to do is I want to learn how to data mine and extract files, like audio files from video games, just so I can get the audio files from Pokemon Stadium just to add into random videos. And eventually when I can do sound alerts, I would love to do sound alerts with them. MBR, the announcer, has special lines for a lot of big moves. Ripped into by Sea Flare. Honestly, that's awesome. You're just hyping me up more so I can play Battle Revolution. I need to do that soon. I mean, it's going to take me a while before I can get to it, but I really want to. Purple outside here. Oops. Thunder detonates with a boom. Ooh, okay. You can call them the Sisters of the Deep or the Deepkin Sisterhood. Yeah. I was thinking the Abyssal Maidens might be a decent name for them, but I'm not entirely sure. It's going to be a work in progress on the name just because, again, homebrew to make them work with the Dark Kraken, so we'll see how it goes. But I really think there could be something here that would work well. First, I need to get a good base on it. I like Deep Consistent as the epithet type title. Abyssal Maiden sounds awesome too. Yet it's something that I'm gonna have to do a lot of deliberation because there's a lot of good potential for a name with mixing in with the Dark Krakens. It's more of what kind of lore do I want to give them that would make it work. It's gonna take a while to figure out, but I'm very hopeful that we can make it work. However, I have let my community decide a lot of things, so I might just run a poll to see what kind of name we give them. I was also recently introduced to the fact that apparently there's a subreddit for Dark Krakens on Reddit. I don't like Reddit that much, but you know, maybe I can go to Reddit just to try it. Because I'd like to see how other people are kit bashing and building Dark Kraken Space Marines, and if they have anything adjacent. Because one thing I want to do is I want to get a guard regiment that would... I want to kit bash a guard regiment that has a bunch of underwater tanks and scuba gear on their stuff, so that it's oh yeah, just like the Dark Krakens, they're a faction based from a water world. So they're going to have a lot of stuff for, they're underwater. How does that work for them? What do they do? Okay. But yeah. It's... The name itself is a work in progress. Just trying to think of how to make it work and pop off. Ah, shoot, I got white on there. It's also because I'm not sure how to go about painting these, because my favorite normal order of the Adeptus Sororitas is the it's the Argent Shroud. And so of course you do. I'm hyping myself on those emulators though. Hey, absolutely, man. They are... Pokemon Stadium is worth it, but I'm also biased because I purposely, like, of one of the things that I do is I bought USB 64 controllers so I can get 64 emulators and make it work with the actual stuff. Because my first console was a Nintendo 64. And so part of my whole thing is I just like the Nintendo 64. I like how it holds, but that's just because it's nostalgia for me more than anything else. I do love that game, but I hate 64 controllers. No, that's fair. For me, 64 controllers have always been one of my favorites. They're not the best, but I like them. I don't know. There's just something nostalgic about them. I think as well, I think I'm going to do white on the underside and purple on the outside. Because I'm looking at these and I like the idea of the purple on the inside with the white on the outside. I'm just not sure, because if I do this, I need to do a different color for the armor. And I'm not sure what other armor I want to do. Do you have any other favorite 64 games? Wave Racer 64, I liked a lot as a kid. You just raced on jet skis. It's just a water racing game. And that inspired my proof of design for making a water racing Pokemon game based off of the intro to the to Pokemon Heroes, the 5th Pokemon movie. Absolutely one of my favorite mechanics I would like to make into that. Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer is probably my favorite racing game of all time. Because you have to, as you go through the career, if you blow up your ship and die in the race, your pod racer loses value and its parts become worse. So you have to use the money you win in the career to upgrade your ship. And there's a noticeable difference in the parts. I really liked the Nintendo 64 when it came to that. Like, that one game was easily one of my favorite racing games, because there was real stakes. Because if you lost a race and you blew up a few times in the race, your pod racer was broken and you had to replace out those parts and win races to actually stay competitive. So it was a high skill ceiling game that baby me didn't do well on, but I really liked it a lot. Another 64 game I really liked, what was the name of it? There's like a motocross racing game that was like you were just on a dirt bike and you raced across. I mean, it is hard, but the beginning levels are very easy, so you can build a tricked out ship and save up credits. The whole thing is the best way to play Pod Racer Episode 1, experiment and fuck around on your first account, learn the courses and the tracks, and then start playing on your second file, because now you know the tracks so you don't crash as much, and you've got some practice so you know the mechanics, you know the turns, you know how it works, and how your favorite pod racer feels. Because once you unlock them, you can actually start messing around and getting a feel for what you like and don't like in the career. Like, I stuck with Anakin for the first 2 circuits, and then I switched to a different alien. I don't remember which alien I switched to, but I didn't stay as Anakin forever because Anakin's ship is fine, but I don't like the look of his pod racer as much. Nah, I didn't unlock Sebulba for until like closer to like the middle. I think it wasn't. I don't remember the name. It was some circular, like the actual carriage thing was like a circular one. I don't remember the name. It was some background alien that dies in the actual movie, but I don't remember which one it was. But I feel like I want them to remake Pod Racer as a video game for Star Wars, because if you could get your own alien and customize your own ship, I think that would go so good as a racing game. Of course, I don't think Disney's going to allow it. I wish they would, because it'd be good. But that's how it goes. I mean, I agree, but it's also because Phantom Menace had a lot riding on it, because it was the continuation of Star Wars, and before we had Phantom Menace, we had the original trilogy and the books that went from it. And reading the books from the original trilogy, there's some differences on what happens in every which way. I like it better. I think it's cool, but it's definitely hard. It's hard for me to disagree with how people's expectations were different. All they knew were the goats. Yeah. Well, it's also because the original series is like a swashbuckling adventure, and this prequel trilogy is a political drama. It's a So Phantom Menace just fell too hard from the expectations. Yeah, no, absolutely. It had big shoes to fill, and quite honestly, that I think it was an impossible task to please audiences. There, I like political drama sometimes. No, sometimes they're good. I liked the Phantom Menace and I liked the prequel era because the way they tackled the political drama was the backdrop of how war changes people and their ideals. It was never like George Lucas had some strong messaging, and it's because part of his inspiration for it was how his reaction to the war on terror that was going on in America. Because when it gets to the second movie and the third movie, by that point, 9/11 had already happened. And how the Bush administration was handling the war on terror definitely became a part of his messaging. And so that was always something that, if you know what to look for, it definitely shines through that you understand what he's going with it and the dialogue. But also, that was just part of back in the day when political messaging meant you had themes that tied in, but you didn't call out things that were happening in the real world. It was more of, oh, hey, I think in this hypothetical situation, this might be bad. And that's kind of how I want political dramas to be addressed in a lot of like TV series. Because if I wanted real life politics, I'll watch the news. But if I'm going for escapism, you can have themes that tie in with it. And you can be inspired by what happened. But don't be overt about where your views came from and how they tie into the real world. There needs to be a level of detachment, I feel, for it to really resonate with audiences and for it to resonate with people. And I think that's kind of what the news is way more intended in a modern political drama on TV. I agree there. Asmongold ate the views. Yeah, no, straight up. Most of the news that I get nowadays is mostly just because I just watch Asmongold because I like his takes on what is going on. I don't agree with him all the time. There are definitely some disputes I would have with some of his policies, but he's consistent on just pointing out kind of what the normal person, like for me as an average, for my average views, he points out kind of what I see and everything, and I appreciate it. I think Asmongold is a good commentary guy. Yeah, no, I agree. He's a good commentary guy. And I think it's because he's honest with where he came from. There's no theater, because Asmongold will talk about his childhood and how he was raised with his mom and how he and his mom grew up and how he and his father and his mother grew up and like their family dynamic. It's interesting because it's very relatable to me despite not being in the same family situation as he was. I just find that what he has to say resonates with me just because I find it's very down to earth, it feels. I don't have to deal with the Hollywood elitism that a lot of other people throw into their commentary. It's just, yeah, no, this is from somebody who's lived his life doing blue collar jobs and in a farming community. Asmongold is way more relatable to me than any news announcer just because he just did what he did. There was no grandstanding with the job he had. He was honest and he's very straightforward with his commentary. Again, I disagree with some of his takes, but for the most part, it just feels honest when he talks, which is hilarious because I'm talking about somebody feeling honest and talking about politics. That's never a good mix, but here we are. I've been really tossing around the idea of starting an analytical political commentary series on my third channel. Yeah, fair. For now, I'm trying to shy away from politics, from getting too into it, just because, yeah, I've got my own opinion, but that's kind of why I say I serve my Twitter. I use Twitter for my politics stuff. Just because keeping it to Twitter means that people who follow me, they know where I am. Scared of taking that step, though. I mean, understandable. Politics is such a divisive thing, especially because politics change faster than we really comprehend. Like, for the most part, growing up, the one time I was, like, for the most part, I was always a centrist and a moderate because I agreed with the right and the left on different things. Like, 10 years ago, on the political left was populism, which is where I stood of, yeah, I believe in workers' rights. Corporations should not be sending out their jobs to other countries. Keep the countries in America and pay them American standards and American wages. That's just better for the economy, for young people to actually get up and actually work. However, at that point was a left-leaning, like a left talking point. And for some reason now, that's now on the political right. Which feels weird because for anybody who's old enough to remember, Trump is a Kennedy liberal. He is not a right-wing conservative. I like some of the policies he's making, but 10 years ago, you would have called Trump a Democrat, and it would have made sense. Politics just keeps swinging and changing so quickly that it's hard to keep up and really care. Because it's like, okay, everybody's flip-flopping again. What's the point in me paying attention? And why should I really care about what's going on? I've always been pretty much stood on the center-right libertarian camp, changed some views on particular issues, but not drastically. I mean, that's fair. As we get older, we get a different appreciation for different viewpoints. Our experience in life changes how we view things, so that makes total sense to me. I've changed quite a bit. There are definitely some policies that I would have supported in the past that I don't support now. And that's just how it goes. As you get older, you gain experience, you see life differently, and you're just going to start believing and saying different things. It's not necessarily a bad thing. That's just life. It's just about making sure that it's consistent growth and not being a grifter. Because gosh dang, on the internet, that's such a fine line to be a grifter or just to change your opinion over time. And that's kind of why I don't want to talk too much about politics. Not necessarily because I don't think it's bad, it's just because, gosh dang, it is difficult to make it work. Oh, hey, Francois. Been a hot minute since I last saw you. How you doing, man? We're doing all right. Good to hear. And now comes the part that I need to remember because I forgot. So, when I made my other pair of Warplock Jezzails, I didn't see Trump as a Republican in 2016 when I was first able to vote, but I kind of still don't see him in that way because of his massive coalition that amalgamated last year. Yeah, no. My so whenever I talk politics with my family, my stepfather will always point out Trump is a Kennedy liberal. It's just what was a Kennedy liberal back in the 60s is considered right wing today because politics in America have shifted so much. But getting back on topic for a second, I need to remember how I made this color because I used it for all of the wood to make it look a little bit older and decayed. And then because what I want to do on top of this is I want to throw a little bit of brown just to fill in the cracks and make it look like it's rotten wood. Problem is, I made this concoction and color off stream. So now I gotta experiment because I remember for this, I used a brown and I mixed it with a wraith bone to get this color. But now I need to remember how I did it so I can put it on the shield and the wood on this gun too. So that is... So when I said earlier that I had sinned and did extra painting off stream when I shouldn't have, that's kind of what I meant. So I am paying the price for it now. But yeah. However, far as I'm concerned, when it comes to like just streaming in general, I don't want to get too far into politics if I don't have to. But I also stream late at night because, at least for me, where I'm at, I'm just more honest when I stream late at night. I'm honest about kind of what I see, what I view. I call it like I see it more often, just because I'm too tired to pretend. The great sin of having a hobby off camera. Yep. Yep. Very much so. Because politics definitely happen whether I like them or not. But I also try to cater towards having an audience mostly full of adults. And part of adult conversations is politics. I don't want to shy away from it and say, like, never. It's just, I want to make sure I pace myself. Because if I talk about politics too much, I don't want to become a political streamer. That's no. That is way too much to deal with. Especially because for now, at least, I'm trying to do a hobby stuff. I want to talk about anime. I want to talk about painting. I want to talk about DnD, Warhammer, and Pokemon. Just be nervous if I fell too far into the political hemisphere. What am I doing? I should have actually thrown a base coat on this. I am a dingus. Because I forgot, metallic paints are not a good base coat. Okay. Man, it really is late at night, ain't it? I like how anime doesn't really reflect modern politics very much outside of particular dubs. Yeah, yeah. The great sin of anime dubs is the fact that some of the localizers are absolutely deserving of the phrase lol cowlizers. Because holy crap, man. I Anime dub is such a difficult thing for me to defend at times because some anime dubs I think are good. Like Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash. Really good English dub. I think it's really good. And if I suggest people watch it, like to watch the anime, for most of my normie friends, I tell them to watch the dub. But at the same time, there's some anime like, what was it? High School DxD season 3 got a bunch of modern political talking points thrown into season 3 of High School DxD for some reason. Because I rewatched it recently in the dub and I'm like, oh gosh, I forgot that was in there. Who okayed that script change? Because if you see it in the sub with subtitles, it just. I loved the Bleach and JoJo dubs, but otherwise I can't hardly stand it. Yeah, no. It is hard to justify a lot of anime dubs. One of them that I can say is good is whatchamacallit crap. I just watched this recently. 100 Girlfriends. The 100 Girlfriends who really, really, really love you. They did really good on the dub work for that. I liked that one a lot. I remember I convinced a few of my friends to watch it because I sent them some clips from it that they all actually laughed at. But also, it was just a fun premise. And they had fun with the dub work. Oh, yeah. 100 Girlfriends is really fun. I suggest it as an anime. Only watch a sub? Oh, fair. I didn't. I wanted to compare the sub because I feel like if I compared the sub and the dub, there'd be some discrepancies. But I feel like I'd also like some of it and dislike some of it too. Because, like, one anime that I really liked from, I think it was last year, was Alia Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russian. The dub and the sub of that anime are both good. There's some things I like from both, and some things I dislike from both. But I can say that if you watch Alia Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russian, if you watch it in the English dub or the English sub, it's good either way, because the Japanese vocals and the dub, or sorry, the Japanese vocals and the sub, really good, really, really good. But I also watched it on a pirate site, so it had fan translations. I have on both. Neither are perfect, but I can recommend either one to as really good and worth watching. And I can't say that for a lot of anime. Because, I like watching anime in English because I like to do things while I watch things. I'm bad at standing still. I have to keep fidgeting with my hands. And so part of watching movies or watching anime is, like, when I did 100 Girlfriends, when I was watching the 100 Girlfriends anime, I did it while I was working on some of my minis off stream. I believe it was this mini, actually, that I was painting off stream. I was doing this one while listening to the dub, and I had a lot of fun. I watch Cartoon Online. That's a solid spot. That's a good spot. Gosh, I don't even remember the name of the website I'd go to. But Watch Cartoon Online is good. I think I've been visiting 9 Anime for the most part recently. This is the one that I've been going to. It just feels weird because it's an end of an era because Kiss, and when Kiss Anime died, things really went weird with the pirate sites. But also, Sony has been trying to take down a lot of the pirate sites. I just refuse to pay for Crunchyroll because I remember back in the day when everybody was gushing about Crunchyroll. YouTubers getting sponsored by it saying, yeah, if you pay for Crunchyroll, You're paying, because Crunchyroll is dedicated to paying the animators for anime a fair wage to make sure that they promote the anime industry in an ethical way. And then it turns out by paying the animators, they meant we were going to fund Crunchyroll's original anime, Hard Guardian Spice. They didn't pay a single Japanese animator anything, as they just built their own in-house animation studio under false advertising. Mind you, this was like 2014, 2015. So I know a lot of people who watch anime don't even know about that controversy. But I feel like Elrond from Lord of the Rings. I was there so many years ago. I remember the lies. I remember the promises that were broken. I was there for all of it. Sure, call me an elitist if you want, but it's kind of because of that. Just on principle, I refuse to ever support Crunchyroll. I was just a D-bag because I argued against Crunchyroll and I feel pretty vindicated. Honestly, Crunchyroll vindicated a lot of people's anti-them feelings because Crunchyroll just isn't that good. They don't run their website well. Every time I hear about their website, it's another change they're making that everybody seems to hate, even their own community. It's like, look, if your own community is making fun of you and saying you're making a bad change, and let's be real, some people have been using Crunchyroll since 2013 and before, because I don't know when Crunchyroll was still a pirate site before they went legit, but people use Crunchyroll for quite a few years. And some people still do. Good on them. I don't mind the brand loyalty. If you like something, you like something. But I don't know. From the lies and from burning it, I just feel burned out from the corporate lies. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I didn't have consistent money for bills until about 4 or 5 years ago. No, that's fair. So I was never bothered. Yeah, no. My mother does not like anime. And so when I was growing up, she would never have paid for Crunchyroll. She she paid for Netflix until like 2012 and then canceled our Netflix subscription because they just started taking things off in 2012 and going and separating. She never found use and did not like it anymore, so she didn't bother. Which I respect, by the way. She saw the times before it happened and called it. Ugh. But because of that, I grew up, I was on Kiss Anime for years. I started on YouTube, then I found Kiss Anime because my friend told me about Kiss Anime. Because it was easier to watch a full episode of Kiss Anime than find every single part of 17 to watch one episode on YouTube. I remember when you just got discs in the mail from Netflix. Yeah. Yeah. Times were simple back then. They were really simple, and it was a lot. I don't want to say it was easier. Simpler really is just a way to describe it. The small things were very gratifying. Oh, absolutely. There are just some things that were just nice from way back when. But yeah, there's just a lot of stuff we just got to work on. We got to figure out. We got to get it handled. But bit by bit, that all gets done. Now, where is that? There it is. I need a tiny brush. It helps you appreciate what you had. Struggle makes people. I agree. I agree. I'd also say that back in the day, the simplicity of life was just more accommodating. Nowadays, life just feels so complicated that it's just annoying to deal with now. Like, I don't know. I remember when I got my first job, I got my first job because I applied in person and I was able to get it. However, nowadays, if you're job hunting, it's only online. And if you apply in person, people just say, I don't know how to do this. Can you just apply online like everyone else? It's just annoying. Games were better when they were simpler too. Oh, I agree. Game Boy Fire Emblem is better than anything that modern day Fire Emblem has done. I know that is a controversial statement, but there's a lot of modern Fire Emblem stuff that I just don't like. I'm not against it, and I'm not gonna hate everything about it, because I like some things from the new Fire Emblem games. But it modern Fire Emblem just seems a little too, it's too much for what it offers. I don't really love any game after Awakening. Oh, that's fair. Like, I like Three Houses because they built up the characters enough that I cared. So that on my playthroughs, I even if I don't play the Black Eagles, I will always save Bernadetta. I take Bernadetta with me anywhere and everywhere I go. I absolutely love Bernadetta as a character. She was fun, and I want to keep her alive in every run. And in the same vein, in Engage, I don't like Engage that much for a few things. But one thing Fire Emblem Engage did was it created Hortensia. I absolutely adore Hortensia's character. I think she was fun. I loved the sibling discussions between her and Ivy and their support conversations. I liked how they interacted with people. It was fun. I liked Hortensia a lot as a character. So I will always say that Fire Emblem Engage did some things okay. They're not good, but they had some things that were good. One thing that I disliked from Engage is how the break mechanic did not work in your favor. I didn't actually play much Engage, fake fan. Engage is hard though. And I don't mean hard as like a game is hard. Engage really just sucks in its opening. Like, until I got to Brodia, I didn't give a shit about what was going on in Fire Emblem Engage. But that's also because I don't like having the main character be a god. Like, the Divine Dragon, I don't want to play that. I don't want to be a god. I just want to be a simple person fighting for my country. I don't relate to being the monarch of a kingdom. That's not what I want, and it's not what I want to do. I understand that for the romance stuff, you kind of have to be important enough so you can marry whoever you want in the game. I mean, we've only had Divine Dragon Power in the last 3 games. Yeah. And I don't know. It's just tiring that Fire Emblem became a VTuber simulator, but with all of the personality and none of the intrigue. Because there's nothing interesting in Engage to keep me engaged in the actual story. I couldn't care about it. General Ike forever. No, unironically. Ike was a great main character. He's very relatable, but he was simple. And that simplicity was to his strength as a character. I liked Erica. Erica is a princess. I can't relate to being a princess, but I can relate to how Erica felt as a young child forced into a situation she was not ready for. She did her best and she was prepared for it because her family prepared for anything and everything, but that didn't mean that she was mentally or physically prepared. Like, Erica being a horrible commander unit and not doing well in combat made sense. Because, yeah, she could defend herself. That didn't mean she was a battle-hardened warrior. So I liked having, yeah, she's not the best. She's not that good. She just does what she can to get by and survives for the sake of her kingdom. I liked her character a lot. I don't relate to Erica as, oh yeah, I'm the absolute best. Erica and Ephraim were both really good, but Ephraim can basically be Marth clone for the most character intents. Yeah, no. Ephraim was the weaker point just because, yeah, you could swap out Ephraim for any of the other Fire Emblem characters, and you kind of just got the same response. And that's kind of why I didn't like Ephraim as much and never really did his sidelines and side quest when you got the split section. I always went with Erica. Because Erica just felt she felt human. And the fact that she was not the best or prepared for this, she just had to deal with what she could. Everything came and at her, and she just had to rise to the occasion to meet that challenge. And she was not perfect at it. That's kind of why I found Erica's character endearing, because she was a princess in the middle of a conflict, but she was not a warrior. And that's what led to some of the mistakes that she made, and I appreciated that. Eliwood and Ephraim and Crom were all boring to me. I agree with you there. Hector was the best. Eliwood absolutely was not interesting. I understand what they're going for. I couldn't do it. Honestly, I don't know much about Crom or Lucina, so I don't want to speak too much on that, just because I never played their games, because I never played the 3DS games. Not because I didn't want to, but because I never owned a 3DS as a kid. But yeah. But with Three Houses, at least, Three Houses had good characters that were interesting. Like, one thing from the Black Eagles that I liked a lot was the support conversation between Caspar and Petra. Because basically, if anybody hasn't played Three Houses, slight spoilers for a support conversation of an event that happened in the past of the game. In the past of the game, there is a princess in the Black Eagles. Her nation went to war with Fodlan, and it went against the Adrestrian Empire. They lost pretty badly. And as you are a teacher at the school, turns out Caspar's father killed Petra's father. And when he found out about this, he felt guilty, and he tried to talk to Petra, going, "Hey, are you sure you don't hate me? My father killed your father like 3 years ago, and now we're fighting on the same side. Are you sure this isn't shaking you up? I feel bad about this." And of course, Petra is kind of Caspar was always like the more irresponsible and not as mature character between the two. But so Petra just goes, "Well, it's hard to take in, and it's not easy to deal with that. But my father's dead, and I have to focus on doing my part for the future of my kingdom. I can't allow that to stop me. You are not your father. You did not kill my father. And sure, that doesn't mean that I feel nothing about this, but I can't just let that get in the way of the fact that you and I are on the same side. We are fighting it for our lives together, and I refuse to let anything stop me from living to press on and continue my father's legacy for what I knew were the ideals he stood for." It was a very cool moment because it showed a lot of maturity, but it was also just kind of that moment of like, yeah, that if you're working with somebody and you're like, "Hey, I don't know how to feel about this," it would be a difficult conversation to have. Like, unironically, that is not a conversation people are ready to have. And of course, with Caspar being well, he's a teenage boy who doesn't have to process his emotions as much, it made sense for him just to go, "Well, shit, I know it's not my fault, but I feel partially responsible because guilt by association." It was a very mature and interesting support conversation, and I love that so much because it really drove home, yeah, politics are difficult, but sometimes things just happen and we just got to deal with it. So that is one of the things that I will remark that I liked from Three Houses. Some of the support conversations are just phenomenally well done. Some of them are funny, like Bernadetta is comedy gold with every single person. Absolutely love Bernadetta's support conversations. But at the same time, there were some moments where they got heartfelt, and there was real questions about, am I able to do this? Am I truly living up to my standard? And am I working towards a future that matters for what I want? There were some good moments in Three Houses. Now, I'm with everybody that I can criticize that. Yeah, the monastery definitely took longer than it should have, but I can see why the monastery took as long as it did in Three Houses. Because the whole point of the monastery was to get you attached, to make the war and its divide even more difficult. Now again, I won't defend everything. The monastery was long. The intent was to make you focus on learning about the students, learning about everybody from all classes. So when you fight them in the future, it tears at your heartstrings knowing, yeah, you and I were friends long ago, and now I have to kill you on the field of battle because we're on the opposite sides of a war. It was difficult. You made difficult decisions, but you also got to know people. And then you had to decide, it's either I fight for my ideals or I let my past friendships cloud my judgment so I die. It was a complicated story, but they did enough world building in it that I do like Three Houses. Not to mention I think Three Houses was better with the reclass system because it made you fight and work towards leveling up your attributes to actually reclass. Because Engage was too easy, in my opinion, to reclass to anything. It was way too easy. I don't mind being able to reclass your character to something else, but I kind of prefer the old style where in Fire Emblem you had, here's a character archetype, they can go down like two, maybe three promotion paths, and they just work with that. If you like that unit, you keep it. If you don't like that unit, you grab a unit you do like. I liked how that played out more. Being able to reclass into anything, I just don't like as much. Yeah. I personally feel like when they did the straight promotion paths in Fire Emblem, it focused them to build a narrative on that character so that as they progressed in fighting style, they progressed as a person and you could link the two together so you could see that person progress. It was a lot more interesting. Nowadays, with anybody being able to progress into anything, now they're just a bunch of quirked up VTubers. And don't get me wrong, I like some of the quirked up VTuber designs. I think Hortensia is one of my favorite Fire Emblem characters of all time. Does she fit in the older style Fire Emblem games that I prefer? No, absolutely not. But I liked Hortensia a lot because she was a good personality that fit with her design. And she had a good family dynamic with her sister. But I like VTubers IRL, not in a Fire Emblem game. Yeah, no. Fire Emblem with VTubers I think is difficult because I like the idea with some of their designs. Hortensia, I liked. Ivy, besides the barbecue lid face covering, besides the barbecue lid, Ivy was a really good character. But the best character for me in Fire Emblem Engage was Louis. Louis straight up was just a simple dude in a giant suit of armor. He was also one of my favorite classes because I like the knight and the general class in every Fire Emblem game. But Louis was just a fun character. He was interesting, he was relatable, but he was simple. And it was just more fun to watch him interact with everyone. Louis absolutely was one of the better characters in Engage, and he's not a VTuber. He's just a dude with long curly hair and perpetually closed Brock eyes from Pokemon. That's all Louis' character design was. I know that's oversimplification. People are going to come for me with that. But Louis was easily one of the best characters. A character I never used in Engage, Tamara. I got her too late. I'd use Panette because I used to live in Mexico and I thought the Day of the Dead was super cool. So when an axe wielding psychopath with a Day of the Dead paint was in a Fire Emblem game, yeah, I'm taking her with me. Absolutely. Tamara, the rest of her entourage, could not care less. Panette, absolutely on the team. But I don't know. Generals are apparently bad, but in particular games, they really pull their weight. I think it's just because it depends on playstyle and how you do it. My whole thing is whenever I played a Fire Emblem game, I gave my generals, like, I almost always gave all my spear users javelins only. I do not use steel lances. I don't use iron lances unless I have to. I don't use silver lances. I don't use killer lance. I just go, okay, you're getting a javelin. So then whenever somebody shoots at you from range, you retaliate and kill them instantly. And like, you don't let a general get too far out of position by himself, but if you give a general a javelin, he's going to kill any mage that attacks him. Yeah, the mages, if you have 3 or 4 mages attack the general, he's gonna die. It feels very nice to have a wall that can kill archers. Absolutely. I also don't use a lot of range units in Fire Emblem. Like, I don't know. I don't like the archer class that much and how it normally works. And I don't like the mages that often. I just use the healing mages and I don't use anybody else. If I have to, I will, but I just don't like the magic characters that much. Not in like a personal way. I just don't like how they feel and how they play. I'm also not a magic focused guy, which is ironic because the Black Eagles are my favorite class in Fire Emblem Three Houses. So take that as you will. But I just don't play with a lot of range units that much. Nah, I agree with you there. I have a friend who uses archers in every game, and he tells me that in certain games they're really good and others they're bad. I just I like the idea of the archer class. I've just never liked them enough to really focus on using that character. They have their uses, they can be really good, but dealing with Pegasus Knights, you don't need an archer if you don't have a magic user for the Pegasus Knight to dive on. If you just have melee units and give your spear users javelins, the Pegasus Knights are dying in 2 hits. So whenever the enemy has a bunch of flyers, you just need to have a bunch of strong units and they'll take out the flyers without issue. I never really had a problem with flyers without archer, despite the fact that I almost never use archers in Fire Emblem games. Radiant Dawn really uses archers very well in like half the levels. Another reason why I need to play Radiant Dawn, because I really haven't and I should. Some point I need to. But yeah, no. That's just kind of the thing. Just, I like Fire Emblem as a series. I like it, but I came up from the Game Boy era, and it's hard to get used to not being in the Game Boy era, because the Game Boy era just had the best animations. Fire Emblem really was the coolest with the 2D sprite work. I know that's like a milquetoast opinion from the community because almost everybody agrees with that. But that has definitely been something that I've been I've been saying since the 3DS era. I played the Game Boy, GameCube, and Wii ones, and I completely loved all of them. I never played the Wii or the GameCube Fire Emblem games. I wish I did. Eventually I am going to, but I never had that chance before. So, I'm hoping to try it out because I do want to see what everybody's talking about. I'd also like to see play the game where Ike came into it. 3DS era was so underwhelming. That's what I've always heard. I hear divisive things about the 3DS era. It's either, oh, it saved the franchise, it was really good, or it's not bad, but it's not phenomenal. That's kind of like the two opinions I typically hear about Fire Emblem when it comes to the 3DS era. And I never played any of the 3DS games, so I'm not sure one way or another. I know that the 3DS sales were what saved it, but still. Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn are my favorites. I'd be willing to say my actual favorite games. Fair enough. Alright. Well, my phone's about to die, but I would say we got some good progress. We repainted these guys so that the silver turned into, for the most part, turned into that nice Balthazar gold. We tried some of the Sisters of Battle paint schemes. Turns out, white undercoat, purple overcoat, that's the way we're going to do it. And got this guy built up and partially painted. Just need to finish him, and I need to finish getting this one done. But my phone's about to die, but thank you guys for joining in and for talking with me for these past 2.5 hours. I really enjoyed it. I like talking with you guys. Thank you for joining in. Thanks for watching me in my insanity, and I will try to stream more often now that I have more time off from work, because now I'm back onto part-time with them. But again, thank you for coming by. Thanks for talking. Thanks for chatting. Thanks for being here. And I will see you guys later. Till then, take care until then. Have a good night.